Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EJ Sports Podcast. This is our first episode of this new podcast. I'm your boy E,
And I'm your boy Jay.
and basically, our podcast is basically going to be about all sports in the U.S., all over the world. Our main focus is on soccer, basketball. We are going to cover a little bit of the UFC, boxing, NFL,
Wrestling.
wrestling. Basically, we're trying to cover as much as our interest when it comes to us. And our first episode, we're going to talk about what is around our area, what's going to be coming for this following year in 2026. We're going to be talking about the World Cup. And for your information, we are a Bay Area born and raised people. So having the World Cup coming to our neighborhood, to Levi Stadium, we're very excited and we really want to be interested in actually possibly going to a game or two. But there's one thing that has come up that is pretty interesting, and those are the World Cup prices right now. Now, my boy Jay has been researching when it comes to the prices, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about how they are, what's going on, and possibly could they be outpricing the fans and having just rich people go? What do you think?
I think that the prices of the ticket. What I saw in Mexico is the cheapest one is going for like $3,000, and that's like bleeds. That's insane. And the most expensive one is $5,000 to $7,000, depending on who's playing and what stadium. That's just completely insane. I don't know why it's so expensive, but I feel like they're doing it more for the rich people than for the real fan base of soccer.
No, yeah, and when it comes to what happens with soccer and what's going on, I'm right now looking, and these are just what's coming up on StubHub. There hasn't been no official tickets that have been out yet. There has been official suites tickets that we've been looking at, especially here at Levi Stadium. I'm looking at it here at a World Cup game, and it's to be determined who are they playing. This is for June 13th, 2026 here at Levi's. The cheapest ticket I am looking at right now, and there's no guarantee of it, it's $708 per ticket, and that's an exclusive offer for two people. So if me and Jay were to go to this game, we'd have to be going to the 700 section, and that is the bleeds. That is all the way to the top, nosebleeds section 401, all the way to the top for $708. Now, if we were to go lower down, I'm looking at ticket prices anywhere from $3,000 to $11,000. Now, for me, when it comes to, as a huge sports fan, obviously having the possibility of a World Cup game, me being able to go and possibly see, I don't even care who's playing, honestly. I just want to go for the experience, hopefully for the fans, going out there, possibly going to a couple pubs, a couple bars out here, and me wanting to go to a game, and I'll have to pay anywhere from $700 all the way to the nosebleeds to possibly $3,000 in the 200 section. For me, that is outrageous. For me, that is something that is shouldn't be possible. Even though it's a World Cup game, it is something that only comes once every 4 years. I feel like outpricing the common fans, the normal fans, the ones that are always there, looking at your games, buying the jersey, supporting the international teams, outpricing them for a lot of people who probably won't bring any atmosphere to these games. I feel like that's ludicrous. I don't know what you think about these tickets that are coming up right now, these prices.
Oh, those prices are just insane. And mostly here in the US, I don't know why, but most of the people who are going to buy the tickets are not actual fans. And the atmosphere is going to be like completely, like, I don't know, like
Horrible.
horrendous.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the reason why, a big thing for us where we're talking about this, we are Mexican Americans. We support the U.S., we support Mexico. We'd want to go to a game here at home, here at Levi's, experience a game at our background, at our backyard. But we also talked about possibly wanting to go see a game in Mexico and realizing that they're even outpricing the fans out there. That is something that for us, it's very outrageous, and it's something that we feel like we don't know if it's a hot take. Obviously, we want to hear you guys' comments about this. But should tickets be out outgoing in a way, depending on the situation? Because I feel like this isn't just a World Cup issue. I know we wanted to go in depth with this, but the Super Bowl, something that happens every year here in the U.S. Obviously, it was around 2016 or so. It was the Super Bowl here in the Levi Stadium here in Santa Clara. We decided to go. Me and Jay decided to go during that time, and we only went as a fan to experience how it is over there. When I tell you that the experience and the people that were bringing the emotion, bringing the fans outside the stadium was way different to what we felt the experience inside the stadium. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the fans were outpriced during that time. And we could see the difference between the regular fans, the true fans who weren't able to buy a ticket compared to the people who were able to buy the ticket but weren't fans, were just there for the experience. And there was two different worlds. I don't know what you think about that. Should prices be Super Bowl esque when it comes to these places like the World Cup, or should they be more for the regular fans? What do you think?
It should be more for the regular fans because, yes, I kind of understand what they're trying to do. Is like they're trying to bring up their revenue and putting those tickets up like super high. They know that they will get a lot more money and more eyes on the game, but they're leaving out like the hardcore fan base. The hardcore fan base are exactly people who are more emotional in the game, who breathe the game, how like the fans bring more emotion to the players. And that's why the players are gonna feel it whenever there's none of that emotion with the fan base.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. I have seen games. More recently, we decided to go to the game here at Levi's for the Gold Cup for this year, and it was the Mexico versus El Salvador. And when we got our tickets, they weren't overpriced. We decided to gamble whether or not who was playing. We were like, we wanted to go to the Gold Cup game. We semifinals. We didn't care who it was, but just being there and seeing regular fans. We saw people with emotion. We decided to tailgate that day. We were there with some family and friends. When I tell you that experience, being there with the fans, tailgating, partying, dancing with random people, just because we're from the same country, we felt that emotion. And during the game, it was felt the emotion as well. And I feel like that is what we want when it comes to the World Cup. I feel like this is what should show what the American fans are, what the American hospitality is being able to bring fans in and experience it, especially for the people who are common, who don't know what's going on. They're casuals to the sport of soccer. I feel like having World Cup tickets at a reasonable price should be something to bring in the common folk, for them to experience the World Cups, experience these games as they should be. And talking about how should not price things, June 12th, 2026 game. This is a U.S. game. It does not determine who they're playing against, but it's a U.S. game. I'm seeing tickets at a VIP station for $64,000. I'm seeing anywhere from $85,000 as well. But there's also a ticket that is all the way to the front, and I'm looking at this right now. This is front row, first section. I'm not gonna be lying to you. I'm showing it right now to Jay what it is. It is at $633,000. That is something that I never thought I'd ever see. And I'm looking at this. This is a regular game. This is a group stage game. What do you think about that? A $633,000 ticket.
That's only for the billionaires that we have here in America, but I cannot afford that. Not even a casual fan cannot afford that. That's just outrageous. I don't know why, but this is what we have to deal with to actually go to a game. And $5,000, $3,000, $5,000 in the bleeds. I think I could do that. I could just go to a trip 1 week, 2 weeks to I don't know, Europe or somewhere and have a fun time besides of spending that money for a 2 hour game.
Yeah, and like I said, all these ticket prices are off StubHub. I'm looking at these tickets from there, and I'm looking at this specific game on June 12th. I'm looking at the cheapest is $1,000 all the way to the top, and this is in SoFi Stadium, and I feel like that's very much outrageous. And again, like I said, I want to see a game here in my background, in my hometown, here in the Bay Area. I want to see a game at Levi's. The only issue is that these ticket prices have to be reasonable to have the common folk, because I feel like there should be two factors, and we're gonna go into this, EJ. You know, should ticket prices reflect who's playing, or should it stay stable? I should say. It doesn't matter who's playing, what's going on. A group stage game shouldn't exceed a certain amount of price, and of course, it should go higher and higher depending on the, you could say a group stage game should obviously cost less than the semifinal game. What do you think? Should it be no matter what, whoever's playing against who, a group stage game should just have a stable price and it should get higher due to the higher level competition? Or should it be based on teams? Like if Brazil goes against Germany again in a group stage game, should that be as the same amount of price as a semifinal game? What do you think about that?
I feel like a game like Brazil against Germany, that game should be at least $80, $80 to $100 max.
Are we talking about nosebleeds?
Oh, nosebleeds. Lower bowl and all that. It should be maybe make it hit or take like $3,000. Mm-hmm. That's group stage. It should not be $1,000, $3,000 nosebleeds. Like probably a game like I don't know South Africa against like Jamaica. That one could be like $50, $40 to $50 nosebleeds, but has to be in a reasonable price for the common folk to actually go to the game, not for the people who actually don't have the money and the people who have the money to go to those games. But I feel like, yeah.
No, I agree. And this is nothing from against South Africa or Jamaica. Honestly, when it comes to those teams, it was just something random that I'm pretty sure Jay had in his mind to random international teams. But I also agree that there should be a maximum amount that a group stage game should have. And I feel like it should fluctuate on who's playing against who. Like, if the U.S. were to play against Spain, again, that's the Euro champion versus a host team. I feel like $80 to $100 nosebleeds. I feel like that is a good price to not just bring in the true fans who are there day in, day out, actually watching the game, bringing that passion, but also it actually gives incentive to casual fans to go in and see the game. Look at the atmosphere, possibly go in. Because I feel like as much as the World Cup and FIFA are going to get their money, is the reason why these prices are so high, because they're going to get their money either way. I feel like bringing in the common folk will expand the game here in the U.S. Will expand the game here because, as for the viewers out there, I am a former athlete. I played till high school level. I know Jay himself, he played high school levels as well for soccer. Outside of the high school level, trying to progress in this sport here in the U.S., it is very expensive. It is out there expensive. Mm-hmm. Not just to get noticed, but it's very expensive to just play sports. Just for a regular league, you're paying anywhere from $300 to $400 a season.
Depending, because I've been hearing that there's some leagues that there's some kids are actually some parents, they are spending like $3,000 per season.
And that's the one thing that we also in a future episode we're gonna talk about the differences in pay disparity in youth sports and how the different model within the U.S. and international sports model is different. But we want to give a little background of who we are, what we did and what we do. And it's really much a big thing for us that the common fan are being outpriced for these people who will pay the prices to go to these events, but won't bring the same atmosphere. And what that's one thing that we want. Hopefully, there's a point where FIFA won't get too greedy. But right now, how it is right now, we're recording this on August 17, 2025. At this moment, if the prices stay the same, Jay, are you paying for the prices to go to at least one World Cup game here at Levi Stadium? Are you paying for a ticket?
Depends, but probably not. Because we already saw what happened during the FIFA club. Like, tickets were super expensive. You saw stadiums empty.
True.
And also last year in the Copa America, tickets were expensive. No one went. Only when like important teams like Mexico, teams. Argentina, Brazil, Colombia. Yeah. Those are teams that
they bring the
fans and all that. But there were other teams that they didn't bring enough fan base, and the tickets were expensive. The stadiums were basically empty, and I feel like if the tickets were cheap, at least there would have been more people in the stadium.
No, yeah, I 100% agree, and that was my next point, which I was going to tell you, is that using the Club World Cup model, what they saw during this year when it comes to the Club World Cup, because it is a FIFA-run Club World Cup, they saw what happened when teams that don't bring fans or teams with lower fan bases coming to play these stadiums, because what we're doing is we're playing in stadiums here. Huge stadiums, most of them are NFL stadiums. And these fan bases or these teams were being outpriced. And we saw it when Inter Miami played, I believe it was Al Hilal, if I'm not mistaken. The team from Egypt, I believe it was, in the first game. We saw that the stadiums were half empty. As much as people wanted to see Messi, and see Inter Miami, there was no interest because they weren't willing to pay the prices, the exuberant prices, to watch an MLS team playing against a team from Egypt. And the reason why I bring this up, we are from the Bay Area, as we said. Inter Miami played against the San Jose Earthquakes. Now, Jay, I know you were fortunate enough to go. But before you were able to get the opportunity to go, we looked at the prices. And this is at PayPal Park. This is at a smaller stadium. It's about 18,000, you could say, the capacity for PayPal, around there. How much were the tickets at PayPal Park to see Miami, to see Inter Miami?
$600.
Now, you at the game, how full was the stadium?
It was full, completely full.
Now, it was full for $600. Now, do you think they could have filled up Levi Stadium paying $600 to see Inter Miami Messi?
No. 100% no. The prices of the tickets would have went down to probably $100. Or maybe less.
Now, the reason why I'm bringing this little story up and why we're doing this here is that when it comes to the World Cup, especially because this World Cup coming up next year, it's supposed to be the biggest ever. Way more teams are coming in, meaning there is a higher possibility. And this is the one thing that I've heard people say. Imagine paying $600 to see Guadalupe versus Somalia at a World Cup game. Now, this is no offense to any of those two nations, but do you think people will pay the prices? And I'll even give another example here. There was a game for the Gold Cup this year, and I believe one of the nations was Guadalupe, and they played against Jamaica at PayPal Park. And I know the prices were about $100, maybe a little less. Me and Jay saw this game on TV. Now tell me, how many fans were at the stadium?
Probably like max 300 to 400 people.
When I tell you that when we say 300 to 400 people, that includes workers, security guards, that includes all those people. Because when we saw on TV, we saw groups of 3 to 4 people per tiny sections when it comes to the game. That is a stark reminder to FIFA that when it comes to smaller nations playing against another smaller nation in a World Cup setting, if you put the prices too high, even the smaller nations will not go. And I just feel like if they lower the prices, and hopefully, because when I tell you $1,000 minimum nosebleeds, that ain't cutting it for me. And to answer my own question, whether or not at this moment would I pay $1,000 minimum to go see a World Cup game, right now at this moment, I will also say no. For the simple fact that it is not worth it, because I know that I'm paying $1,000. And we know that we will probably take public transportation if we do that, right? But if we don't, how much do you think that parking is going to cost?
It's gonna cost probably like $300.
And I'll tell you this, Levi Stadium has 3 parking lots. There is the main lot that is probably the most expensive. There is a second lot that is 2 miles away from the stadium?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a third lot that's probably further than that.
Super far.
And when I tell you that it is a long walk to get there and the lines are huge, I will say this. You could stamp it right here. Like I said, the date is August 17th, 2025. At this moment, with these prices, your host E will not be going. Jay, what is your final say?
I'm not going. I will go if the tickets drop to probably $300, $200, but $1,000, sorry. And I really want to go only if the prices are still in $1,000. If someone invites me for free to a game, I will go. But if not, I'm not going. I'm sorry. I will go to before the game to see how the atmosphere is and all that. But sorry FIFA, sorry the teams, but I'm not giving you my money.
And that's the thing. That's the thing we want to talk about is that when it comes to the idea of going, my mindset is that if I pay the $1,000, most likely or not, it's going to be hot. Levi Stadium has no covering whatsoever.
There's no shade at all.
There's no shade at all. So I know I'm buying a minimum of 2 water bottles.
That is going to be the cost of probably $20.
So I'm just looking at this is that if I'm going to pay exuberant prices inside the stadium for concessions, food, water, alcohol maybe, depending on the day, how can they justify a higher price and an exceeding price of tickets if they're still going to overcharge you inside the stadium? And in a way, this is our little rant for our first episode. We just kind of wanted to show you who we are, what's our perspective. And obviously, this is one of the things where me and Jay will 100% agree on that these tickets are exuberant. They're way too much. And this is not just for World Cup prices. We're talking about NBA teams when it comes to not just the playoffs, but regular season games. Like I said, we're a Bay Area fan. We support our Bay Area teams as much as we can. We'd always love to go see the Golden State Warriors at Chase Center. But when we tell you that these prices are expensive.
Oh, against a team that they're like in the bottom of the league. They're like $90, $80.
And we're talking about nosebleeds games. And we got a friend right now who who lives in Oregon. He's been to a couple of Portland Timber games. He's telling me that he is paid $5 nosebleeds. He's seen pretty good teams. I'm pretty sure he saw OKC to see Shea. He played lower level, like $50.
$50.
$50 lower level. That's what he told us that he paid to go see Shea and the OKC against Portland. And we were also talking about other sports teams and how exuberant those prices are. But like I said, this is just our first episode. We kind of wanted to give a little rant. We will try to make this a weekly episodic thing. We'll maybe have a couple of posts a week. If not, at least we'll try to get once a week. We'll try to get consistent. But this is your host, E. Next to me is my boy, Jay. See you guys next time. Peace.